Let's go, people. Welcome back to 12th Man. Channel is back. The show is back. The Arsenal Roundabout is your entertainment for this evening. Champions League is back. We're going to touch on that. And of course, we can't go anywhere without talking about Ange, mate. It's just what we do, mate. Spurs. Big up to everyone who's here. Big up to all of you in the chat room. Make sure you do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and make sure you're following all of these guys, man. First of all, I want to give a massive shout out to debut on the channel, man. Hooks, what you telling me, bro?
Hey man, pleasure to be here, man. I'm slightly annoyed that we're playing on Thursday, though. I'm kind of annoyed that our first Champions League game is on a Thursday, man. It feels like a Europa League game. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to hashing out a bit about the Arsenal. Obviously, the great win against the scum on Sunday. You know, it always makes a good week. So yeah, man. Looking forward to it.
Man. 100%, man. Look, you know it's bad when Dan is actually like getting excited about Man United winning. Yes, pot 7-0 tonight. We are back. Big up, man. Make sure you go follow Danny United first, please, people. 7-0. Bayern Munich put 9 past tonight. I mean, Alex, how are you, my bro?
I'm good after that weekend, mate. I am good. Didn't go on holiday like you, but felt like it. Like, good weekend. And I've heard Dan actually put money on Barnsley tonight, so I'm not too sure about him celebrating because he's lost money there.
Listen, man, Dan probably would put money on Barnsley the way he was feeling the other week about United. I can't even lie. But big up to you, man. Great to see you back on the channel, my bro. And great to see you doing things over on Forder on Football. Make sure you go follow Forder on Football, people. Kenny Ken back in the house. Saw you spent the weekend with you, my bro. Stood next to you at the North London derby. What a day, my friend. What a day.
It's always a great day, you know. I think winning at their ground is probably more pleasurable than winning at the Emirates Stadium. But it was the atmosphere. But you know, the thing that was really good about it is that we didn't even feel our losses in midfield. It became really, really comfortable in that second half, and that's where you got to give the players a lot of credit. But I think there's one bloke who doesn't get any credit, and he deserves the biggest credit ever, but he will never get the credit, and that's David Raya, because since he's been our number one, it's no coincidence that we've been a better side defensively. Just shows you how much chaos Aaron Ramsdale brought to this defence and brought to his football team.
Well, I mean, listen, let's start on that, because Aaron Ramsdale, I was told, had a shocker at the weekend. I actually didn't think he had a shocker at the weekend, personally. It wasn't an unbelievable performance. But David Raya, I've got to say this now. I think he's been our best player this season, I think he has been phenomenal. And I'll start with you, Kenny, because, you've said before to me that people that are loving Aaron Ramsdale need to get on with it, grow up and move on from it. Whether you think he was dealt with in the right way or not, it's been done. He's sold, he's gone. And I'm actually glad now that we don't have to be talking about it anymore. But David Raya has been phenomenal. And I'll say this. When he first come into the side last year, when we bought him, he was shaky, he was nervous, he lacked confidence. I probably would be as well if I'd come into a team and everyone was screaming Aaron Ramsdale's name and shouting about why we've signed him and stuff like that. He looks proper settled now, and he looks command of area, he looks comfortable, he looks calm, he's better with his feet. He's got attributes in the goalkeeper, which I understand why Mikel Arteta wants now. I've got to say, I liked Ramsdale, I did. But David Raya, this start to this season, I think he has been phenomenal, Kenny.
Well, if you can even move it backwards and rewind back to back to the start of the calendar year. That's when we've been looking really, really sharp defensively, and there's no coincidence that it's down to him being in goal, because you think about it, the back four is only as good as its goalkeeper behind him. Seriously. We virtually had the same back four, and with Aaron Ramsdale, in the team. You look at our charge for the championship, so to the title in 22-23. You think about it. That second half of the season is where we lost the title, where we were conceding goals. Teams were like I said, getting bodies forward. They were even doing us some set pieces. They were taking shots from long. They were capitalising on poor clearances by our goalkeeper, and you see the nerves. You look at the goals we conceded at the beginning of last season. Yes, we started really well. We beat Man United, but you think about the goal we conceded with Rashford, the chance that we conceded that that Martial missed. A lot of that was down to the chaos that Ramsdale was bringing to the team. Obviously, he had a shaky start, but if you think from the beginning of the calendar year, look how solid we look. Look how solid, we look as defense. It's even like little things. Cross comes in, he gets it. Corner, he comes for the corner. No messing around, no lack of concentration, trying to play to the crowd. He just gets on with his job, and that transmits to the back four. And then the back four don't have to worry too much. Like back in the day, like in the George Graham early days of Arsene Wenger, when the back four had no worries because they had David Seaman in goal, and even with the Invincible, we had Lehman. I don't think we've had that for a long, long time. And I think if you do want to win titles or compete for titles, you want a goalkeeper that can save you points. Remember we said that back. John Cherry said Petr Cech will save Arsenal points. Well, this goalkeeper does. He saved us a lot of points, and he's going to continue to save his points. Whether it's going to be good enough to the end of the season, you never know. But if we are going to, compete for this title, a lot of it is down to him.
Yeah, facts. And defensively, Alex, again at the weekend, we showed why we've got a chance of winning games, because there's that saying that attacks win you games, defense wins you titles. I hope that our defense is good enough this year to win us a title. But I tell you what, I didn't think Ben White was outstanding, but Timber was brilliant. Saliba was immense, considering he got a yellow card in the first 12 minutes of the game. He was absolutely immense. And Gabriel is just a monster from anything to do with set pieces, man. That's 15 goals now that he scored. And there's no doubting that Mikel Arteta deserves credit for that, because he's built that defence, man. It's been phenomenal, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think I saw a stat saying that. I know you hate stats, Kenny, so sorry. But I saw a stat. I think Gabriel's like top 4 or 5 for headed goals now in our club. He's up there like with Giroud and Ian Wright. Like, it's mad. Like, he just is a monster. And it was really nice because the whole week leading up to this, we had all these combined 11s and Tottenham fans saying, Van der Ven should be in, or Romero should be in instead of Gabriel. And what happens? Gabriel steps up, just brushes Romero out aside and just steps up, bosh, in. Loved it. Like, and I think when you looked at the team, when we had the Timber, like the foul, I don't know about you guys, I didn't think it was a foul personally, but I think it kind of, when I rewatched it almost looked like he stepped on the ball to like spin on the ball and turn. But I mean, that's another matter. But when that happened, it was so nice to have all the big lads pile in. Like, when was the last time we saw that? Was it the last time, like, the Invincibles? Like, as much as I didn't like Xhaka throughout his, like, his career at Arsenal, one of the things I could say about him was he'd go in and he'd back players up. And we haven't had that. We do now. But then we got a defence that I think people, when they turn up, they get in the tunnel, they look to the side, they see all those boys and they go, oh, I don't know about this. Like, even if we play our best, we might not get anything. And Spurs keep turning up and they get nothing. Even at their own ground, nothing. Not a scrap, not a goal. What is it, 13 away games now we've played? 0 goals, 0 minutes that we've been behind any other teams. Like, we should have confidence in that. My only doubt is that our attacking play at the moment just seems like it's not quite there, but we don't have our starting midfield, let's be honest. So we'll see what goes on next week and on Thursday. But at the moment, yeah, defense looks real good.
What I really liked about Timber as well is, for his first North London derby, he looked like he was really ready for the physical battle. Like, he really looked like every 50-50 he was in there 100%. Like, it looks like he understands what the derby kind of means, and he came there with the right sort of energy that I would want to see from a player coming into the squad. So now, if Gabriel didn't score, Timber would have been my man of the match, if I'm being completely honest.
I gotta be real, he was my man in the match anyway. Like, I get why Gabriel got it because of the goal he scored, but Timber was everywhere, man. He was literally up and down. Like, Kenny and I and Andy stood there watching it, thinking, just kept saying it. Wow, Timber again. timber immense again. And it was going forward. It was the runs he was making. It was the ball carrying down that side. It was the fact that he was driving with it. You know, Alex mentioned the fact about the foul, but he was involved all the time. And defensively, he was doing his job as well. And I actually will say that although Martinelli and Saka weren't great going forward, actually what I will give them credit for is defensively how good they were. They worked tirelessly back. And that is something that I've got to give them credit for, man. But listen, it's a nice segue, Hooks, into Martinelli. I don't know what you thought about the chance that he had. Personally, I've looked at it again. If he actually did run with his head up, which is saying he's got to do, I think he would have seen Saka and squared it because that's what he needed to do. But what was your take on that chance, bro?
Do you know what? Yeah, you've just got to do better. Like I expect so much better from. If you think back to when he had that really good season, it's kind of his bread and butter. Like I don't know what it is that's causing him to struggle so much at the moment, but literally, this is the second time where I've seen him. If you just looked up, we score. The first time in the Wolves game where he could have just passed it back to Declan Rice, we probably score. And this time, you just look up, bro, and, you know, to the other side, and you'll see Saka's right there with a tap-in. And then it's 1-0, and then Arsenal's not getting questioned about playing Stoke City FC football, right, with the set pieces. But, you know, on Martinelli, just in general, for me personally, I'm done with the experiment. Personally, like I think it's time to, you know, let him sit on the bench for a while, maybe watch the game from the bench and kind of see what other wingers do when they're playing on that left-hand side. Because I don't think we're in a position this season where we can keep on trying, because going into that Manchester City game, if he does something like that in the Man City game, is so much more dangerous to us as a club to not put those chances away. So, you know, it's unfortunate. You know, I think after his injury, it's kind of caused him to fall off a massive cliff. And I don't know how you bring him back up, because the rest of the squad are playing great. So I don't know if it can be a confidence issue, because the people around him are positive. I doubt anyone inside the camp is, you know, off with him. I don't know, maybe Fabio Vieira leaving, maybe done something to him as well, because they were best buddies. But yeah, he's got to sort himself out, because my patience with him is completely gone.
Yeah,
See,
there's a lot of
I'm kind of
people
with you,
like,
but sorry, Dan. No, I was just going to say,
go
like,
for it, bro.
I'm kind of with you on it. However, like watching that game, that was almost like the perfect game for him, because we needed some pace, we needed an outlet. And if you look, I think he made 6 dribbles, which is the most of anyone in the Premier League this season. And I know it's fine margins, and that's why we lost the title last year, let's be honest. But I think if he scores that goal, suddenly we're talking going, that's the player that made the difference. You know, we wouldn't be talking about Gabriel when we going, well, Saka wasn't playing that well, but Martinelli was the outlet. He was the one constantly making the runs behind, constantly. Like Trossard was making that kind of deeper run, and then he was letting him fill that space. I just wonder, I mean, City's a different matter, isn't it? Like, it's not going to be the same type of game at all, because City won't let us have that. But I do wonder, is he going to get one goal and then go on the run again? Because it's almost like he's overthinking stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, for someone like, I played as a forward. I mean, I didn't play at that level, but one thing coaches always said is, don't think. One touch, hit it. One touch, hit it. Don't let, by the time you overthink it, you're going to make mistakes. And same, you're giving the keeper too much time. But I think Martinelli, to me, just seems like he's, all this pressure's getting on top of him. And now he knows, like, for him, it looks like Trossard's coming in. Every time he comes in, he scores. And I don't know if Martinelli is one of these players who doesn't deal with the pressure well. You know, you get some that kind of rise to the pressure and they're like, someone's behind me, I've got to play well. It's almost like Martinelli's doing the opposite at the moment, and like the cracks are showing. But I mean, right now, if he's dropped, I don't mind too much. If he plays, I don't mind as well, because Trossard's not, you know, he's not lighting it up when he starts, is he? And I don't think if any of us looked at Sterling a couple of weeks ago, we'd all be going, oh, yeah, Sterling, that's the player to come in on the left side. Like, now he's here is an option, but, you know, is it an amazing option? I don't know.
Well, he is an option. I mean, like, Kenny, I'll come to you. You're quite open and honest about Martinelli and quite vocal about him and have been for a while now. I think you were suggesting to me last summer that he's letting you down and potentially is a player we should be moving on. But we got Trossard, we got Sterling. Martinelli off the ball at the weekend I thought was fine, but on the ball at times is very frustrating at the moment. So what are you telling me, Kenny?
Well, the thing with Martinelli is that I think some of our fans think that he's got credit in the bank. You know, they haven't. The goal he scored at Stamford Bridge 4 years ago is very, very much in people's memories, and we tend to take him to our hearts. We even made an excuse for him that he's not playing well because he doesn't have Jason aside. Oh, we missed that Xhaka position benefited him really a lot, and people going on like that. That we haven't replaced Granit Xhaka. Yes, we have. We replaced him with Declan Wright because we're playing Declan Wright in the number 8, and I'm assuming that when Declan Wright becomes, Declan Rice becomes, the player that I think he's going to play. I think he's going to become a really, really good number 8, and I think he'll evolve into that position. So we have replaced him. It's just that not all number 8s play like Granit Xhaka. You know, play down the left and create that kind of axis with Shevchenko and allows Martinelli to make runs. The fact is, Martinelli's confidence has been on the floor since January 2023, and it's down to the manager. You know, despite all the criticisms we're making about him and all the debates we're having about his play, his manager clearly doesn't rate him. You know, people seem to conveniently forget that had Mudryk accepted our terms and conditions, he would have been an Arsenal player, and an 80 million player doesn't stand on the bench to be an understudy to Martinelli. He starts ahead of him, so Martinelli would have seen that, and I think from then, you know, his confidence has gone down. Plus, obviously, there's been an injury, but he's not the same player. We were at the game, and the first one we said, "Where's the pace gone? Where's the pace gone? Why isn't he getting away from his man? You know, where's the finishing?" Because before we were, you know, touting him as a player that can start as an orthodox centre forward because of the fact that he's got a lot of pace and he was seemingly a very good finisher. However, that seems to have gone to plan. And the things that keeps Martinelli as a starter, like his pace, well, I don't think that's enough now because he's not getting away from his man anymore. You know, defenders are beginning to work him out. And then you've got the conundrum of Trossard as well. And I say it controversially. I like the fact Trossard scores a lot of goals. I like the fact he's got a very good football brain, excellent football brain. But if you look at Trossard's performances, you take away the goals, although they're very important. What does he actually contribute during a football match? You have to be honest with yourself. So next season, where everyone's saying, "Oh, we need to get a striker," oh no, we don't need it just to get a striker. We need to get a left winger. That's got to be on our shopping list because, you know, you can't. If you really want to be the team that we should be and be in a level of Man City, you can't. You've got to sort that left hand side out, especially the attacking left hand side. You need to get in the market for a top class left wing because if you rely on Martinelli, his confidence is shot, his effectiveness is shot. Trossard isn't what I call an orthodox left winger. He's probably better as probably in a Peter Beardsley position of yesteryear. And then Sterling's probably going to be a stopgap. And then at the end of the season, who knows? Maybe the Saudis will come in offer him the 2 moons or even the 3 moons. So position.
Let me bring this super chat up because it's a nice little into what I wanted to talk about with Martinelli. I've given him a lot of excuses, right? Probably too many because I like the player and I give him credit in the bank, like Kenny says, right? He has got to improve his performance. There's no doubt about that. But the excuses I've given him has been that there's been no stability or sustainability around him. So when I look at Marino coming,
it's super chat, Dan. You know, people. That's the thing. You look at Marino, and you say, yeah, he's going to be that left number 8, left down from 8. But when you look at the fact we spent £150 million on Declan Rice, or 105, whatever you want to call it, you would have thought that the way he looks like he's going to go and evolve, and the fact he's going to play a better team, you would have think that he'll be that number 8. But the problem thing is, everyone thinks that the number 8 position has to be a Xhaka position. It doesn't have to be. Not all number 8s play like Granit. Granit had a specific position that was effective, but in terms of generally number 8, the number 8s have played differently than Granit. It's just that the reason why it is that because people have a lot of, faith and love for Martinelli. Maybe they see him as one of their own. They're very excited by him. They want that player back. But if we're going for the title, time waits for no one. We can't wait for him to play himself to form. We can't just hope that he becomes that player, because we've got a game on Thursday. Then we've got a game on Sunday. And if you look at up until January, we've got games coming thick and fast. So if we've got games thick and fast, we can't have any passengers in.
I agree with
manager's
that.
not happy that left-hand side, so he's having to put a sticky tape over it until he grows a pair and goes in the market again and buys someone that we genuinely need. Because time waits for no one in football. People get left behind. Look what happened to Smith Rowe. Got left behind. He's at Fulham now. He contributed just as much to Martinelli, especially in that lockdown season. Got injured. Team to start evolved around him. About 3 or 4 or 5 players ahead of him. He's ended up at Fulham. That's what happens at a big club. Time waits for no one.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, we were linked with Mudryk and then we were linked with Nico Williams. So he's definitely wants a left winger for sure. Like, that's clear. That doesn't mean Martinelli's being sold, but it does mean that Martinelli's under pressure. He's certainly got to perform this season. But I'm gonna agree with this super chat slightly. I'm gonna say no more excuses when we get our midfield back, because if it is Marino that needs to come in and unlock Martinelli, or we need a new centre forward, whatever the hell it is, when we get that and Martinelli is still not performing, I'm sorry, but it's on him. I can't have all these excuses for it. Sometimes you've got to look at your own performance and go, I ain't playing very well. And I think that is the case. Now, I didn't think he was shambolic at the weekend. I certainly thought off the ball he was working tirelessly. I never doubt the fact that he gives 110%. He always works hard and he's got tenacity and passion and drive, right? But I need to see him getting in those positions, and I need to have the confidence it's going to be put in the back of the net. And just when I watched it back, I mean, I watched it live and I thought it was a sitter. I watched it back, it wasn't really a sitter, but my God, it was poor, like really poor. Saka's sitting there with his arms out. He's taken way too long. He's nullified the cross for Saka by taking too long on the ball. He's not actually looking at where he's going. And then he looks up and just pats it at the goalkeeper. It was like a Sunday League player playing in an Arsenal game, in my opinion, for that moment. And it was poor. And this is coming from someone who really likes him, by the way. I really like Martinelli. A lot of time for him. 15 goals the season before last. One of our best players by far. Yep, Granit Xhaka, I'm going to say it. I think he did help. But Granit Xhaka was a good player in that position. But what doesn't mean that without Granit Xhaka, Martinelli is now turned into, an absolute donkey. It does not work like that. So for me, has to look at his game. Let's see once we complete our midfield what he's like. And then there's no more excuses for me with that one. But listen, Hooks, I'll come to you, because the next player I wanted to talk to you about, get a bit of a opinion on, was the midfield situation with Partey and Jorginho. Because at the weekend, I thought it was actually quite impressive in parts. I thought it was really poor in parts. Off the ball, I was quite impressed. On the ball, I thought they were sloppy, man, at times. I've got to say, I thought they were potentially very sloppy. Now, obviously, Declan Rice, excuse me, is coming back against Manchester City and Atalanta. And I just wanted to ask you what you would like to see in that midfield while Odegaard is out, and what you think we can do with the 10 position and with Rice coming back in the next few games, man.
So, in my opinion, I feel like for a lot of our games this season, Partey's been pretty, oddly enough, he's been pretty bad on the ball, which I found quite worrying and quite strange. I feel like because he's someone who I guess we are, and he's so used to being able to kind of make line breaking passes and forward passes from very difficult positions while being on the ball. I don't think he's quite accepted that his body's not quite the same, his brain's not quite the same, age is hitting him, and I just don't think that he's fully understanding that he's just not fit enough to play that way anymore. Jorginho, I give a bly. We all know the fitness problems that he has, and I literally think that he was just there as like leadership. I feel like whenever Jorginho comes in, he's coming in as like leadership. Just make sure the right things are happening on the pitch. But I guess going forward, I want to see Jesus in the 10. So Jesus is who I want to see in the 10, replacing Odegaard.
That's a shout,
And so I would go Partey, Declan Rice, and Jesus in the 10. And the reason why I do that is because Jesus is arguably one of our best ball carriers. Arguably, I guess, behind Odegaard, probably one of our best press triggers as well from that position. Arguably one of our best players at link up. Maybe even Jesus even though I don't like the excuse of a specific player unlocking Martinelli. Jesus and Martinelli have had like really good link up in the past. Jesus and Saka have had really good link up in the past. I guess the only issue is it makes kind of like who goes up top a bit difficult, because the positions that Jesus will naturally cover in the 10 and want to be in, Havertz playing in striker will naturally drop back and want to be in those positions as well. So could it crowd up? Could they get in each other's way? I'm not so sure, but going forward, that is what I want to see. Part of me kind of wants to see, let's see how Sterling could potentially play in the 10. I feel like we just need someone in there who's a bit tricky, quick on his feet, and can make quick decisions as well. I didn't really like Trossard in the 10 personally. I feel like if you are not going to play him on the left wing, you have to play him in the 9. That's at least what I would do personally. I feel like I don't know, it just felt off. I don't know how it felt like watching the game, being there live, but me watching it, it just felt like he's not really someone that plays really quick football with other players around him and tries to bring them in. I don't know, it looked weird to me. But yeah, that's what I would do with the midfield going forward. I would potentially, do you know what? Against Atalanta, I'm not so sure about the whole game, but I definitely think it's a game where you could give 45 minutes to Ranieri, see how he does, give him some time, help build up his confidence. Because I do think his cameo was really, especially when he dropped the shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, okay, for you to be able to do that, yeah, in a North London derby at 17, there's a player there. So
he's a
I would
baller, man.
say, yeah, so maybe don't start him, but see where we're at maybe halftime in that Atlanta game. And whoever's playing in the 10 in that game, just take them off, give them the rest, and just give Ranieri a run out. I would even potentially, it's maybe a bit wild, but I would even look at potentially giving 45 to 30 minutes to Miles Lewis-Skelly as well, depending on what the score line is at halftime. Because even though I'm a bit iffy about that Atlanta game, I think it's potentially a game we could lose, because only by small margins, because I don't know, they're a good team. Going to Italy is tricky. The atmosphere, will the players be ready? We're not going there with our first teamers. I don't know, if it in my heart, it just feels like, oh, this might be a game that we could lose. So yeah, that's what I would do going forward. But I think this is pointing towards us needing to do a lot more in the transfer window. And I'm hoping in January, we look at what happened with Odegaard. I do think the fact that nothing else has really come out about the Odegaard injury, for me, is an indicator that he's gone for a while. So I think we need to look seriously at that and go, okay, we need a like-for-like replacement for Odegaard, and we do need someone else that can play the number 9 as well. But let's see. You know, we all know what our club is like when it comes to spending money in transfer windows.
Facts, bro. Like I said it when it closed. I said we're Eze and Gyökeres away from having a very good window, man. Really were. And straight away, Odegaard and Rice are out. And you're like, really? We do not need that. Alex, I'll come to you. I was going to segue a little bit later, but let's do it now because it is a nice segue into it. We've got Atalanta and Manchester City. We clearly can't play the first 11 in both of those games, in my opinion. We've got to rotate. I actually think we should be rotating quite a bit on Thursday night. I want to ask you 2 questions. My first question is, what would your team selection be on Thursday? And my second question is, you and I spoke weeks ago about this Odegaard position, and you flagged it as an issue. And you and I said that if he was to drop and go down for a while, what the hell would we do? So I want to ask you what you would do now. Would you play Havertz there, Trossard there, Ranieri there, Sterling? Or, I mean, Hook's fair play. Jesus, I didn't even think about playing in that 10. Could actually work in terms of his press and work rate. So, sorry, man, I've thrown loads at you there. So you digest it, bro.
Cheers, mate. I feel like I jinxed it because I know everyone was talking about the Saka backup. And then I said, if Odegaard goes down, that's the one player I worry about. What happens? He goes down. I don't know. I think I said it. I think Kenny was saying as well with me that in times like this, Kai has to be the player that steps up. We paid 65 million for him. You know, physically, he's one of the, he's physically tall. So he's one of the most imposing players, although he's a bit of a beanpole. But he's also a pretty good press trigger. So I think the 4-4-2 or the 4-2-4 formation, if you want to call it that, against Spurs, it made sense. It's exactly what I called. I said that's what Arteta's going to go for with Trossard in that kind of hole and those two interchanging, playing like left and right. Against Atlanta, I don't think we need to do it. I think we need to go like relatively strong, just simply because if we go and lose, because it's not going to be easy. They beat Liverpool, didn't they, last season, I think, Atlanta. And then obviously they then beat Leverkusen and then, ruin their year. So they're no mugs. And like Hooks was saying, going to Italy is not going to be easy either. So it's not like we're even at home. So a lot of traveling. So I'm looking at it, go relatively strong, a couple of changes, but have some rest. So like, I think I was looking at it like I've got resting Party because I worry about kind of if his body breaks down. We know what he's like. I think Jorginho could play in that position, holding, like Italian. So he knows the style of play well, always does pretty good in Europe. We've got Rice coming back, and Jorginho and Rice last year were a pretty good partnership, actually. Some of our best games came from those two, kind of at the base of the midfield at times. And then I think Saka's got to be rested. So for me, I think this might be the game that Sterling comes in because we've finally got someone that the manager is going to trust. And I think that just gives the last thing we need is Saka to pull up and then miss him against City again, because we've got enough problems right now. So just rest him, bring him on if we need to, just to get some minutes in his legs at the end of the game. But Sterling should be enough. And then the other one was possibly, so I thought about possibly bringing Trossard out and then bringing Wineri in. So my team is, what have I got here? I've got Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Kivior, because Timber's only just come back from his injury. And he looks like a big game player to me. So that's my defense. Jorginho, Rice, Wineri, and then up front, Sterling, Havertz, Martinelli, and go with that. And then if we're up, take some off, take Rice off, take Saliba off, then start resting, give some minutes to players like Lewis Skelly and go that way. And this could, to be fair as well, if Wineri turns up in this could be his coming out party where we go, you know what, let's put him in against City. Because right now, I think the team will be almost identical to Spurs against City, just with Rice in there. That's going to be the only change. Maybe Wineri could stake a claim. Maybe Trossard could stake a claim at left wing, or Sterling. But I think it would have to be a similar team, because without Odegaard, that's just a huge problem. So that's where I'm going with it. I think I've answered all your questions. Have I answered all your questions?
You've answered them articulately as ever, Alex. So big up.
Cheers, mate.
Listen, I've got to say I agree, and I think what your team you've gone with there is similar to what Arteta will go with. But Kenny, let me share with you what I did today on the show, that I suggested that we do something a little bit different and make some changes. I want to ask you all, actually, but Kenny, I'll start with you. Is this team too weak to go up against Atalanta, in your opinion? I'll read it out for those of you that are visually impaired, because it's quite small. Raya in goal, White, Timber and Kivior at the back to rest Gabriel and Saliba completely. We'll come back to that in a minute. Lewis Skelly or Calafiori, if he is fit, at left back. Rice, Jorginho, Wanyeri, Sterling, Jesus, and Martinelli. Some people in the comment section on a show I did earlier said, wow, that's way too weak. Atalanta will tear that apart. What's your genuine thoughts on that, Kenny?
It's an interesting team, but if you go by the results today of the English clubs in Europe, you've got Aston Villa beating Young Boys, Liverpool winning at San Siro. One thing we've learned as early as it is that this is the time of the year when the English clubs look fresher, stronger, and look levels above, their counterparts in Europe. And I think that we could play that team, but we could go with a slightly stronger team and get those points to the board and give us a bit of confidence going into Man City game, because the last thing you want to do is play it. That's a good enough team, but that team probably slightly underestimating what Atalanta are going to bring to us. Don't get me wrong. If we played a bit more experience in that side, maybe I think we'll beat. I expect us to beat Atalanta comfortably on the basis of the fact that we got better players. We'll play a higher tempo game, and I think we'll have the defence to go there and win comfortably. But with this team, it could be hit and miss because there's a lot of inexperience there. Another thing as well is that Kivior does worry me at this kind of level in terms of his lack of pace. However, he's playing his right position. So he's an interesting team. I haven't got anything against it, but I would like a bit more experience in there in terms of.
I understand what you said. The reason I've and listen, this is just me looking at our squad depth, right? I'll come to you with this, Hook. So get your thoughts on this. The reason I've looked at this sort of team as one potentially I would do, not because I want to throw the game against Atlanta, but because I want everybody fresh going into that Man City team. And I just know our luck at the moment that I'll just play Gabriel and Saliba. They'll be all right, crocked. And you're like, crikey, now we've got to go to Man City and deal with Haaland without one of those two. Saka, likewise. Party, likewise. Maybe Timber. I forget what Alex is saying, but I'm thinking who else plays at right-sided centre-back? There ain't one. So it has to be Timber or Saliba. There's one of those that has to play there. So that's why I'm looking at it. Lewis Skelly, obviously, I'd have replaced with Calafiori if he is fit. But there's no other option at left-back at the moment with Tomiyasu and Zinchenko both out. So I don't know what your thoughts are on the squad rotation for this Atalanta game, bruv.
The only thing that I would really change is I would actually have. So I would go if Calafiori's fit. I would start Calafiori at left back, and I'm pretty sure you would do the same. But
yep,
you're willing to let Miles Lewis Skelly play there, which I mean at a stretch I probably would be as well, because I think throughout preseason whenever I saw him play. But the guy's a unit. I think he'll definitely be able to handle first team football. Like he definitely won't miss out, chicken out on any physical battles. But what I would do is I would bring in Saliba, and then I would actually give Ben White the rest, and I would play Timber right back because I think Ben White, especially in a lot of 1v1 situations in the first few games, he's looked kind of off it. Maybe he's tired. Maybe, I don't know, something's not right. But chance to give him a break, some time on the bench, refresh, and be ready for that Man City game, because that's going to be a very, very tricky game for him. I do think if you take away both of our centre-back options, it's kind of destabilizing what's made us so good this first part of the season. I also do feel that probably Gabriel and Saliba, probably the only real people in the team that you don't actually really need to give any rest to be completely, Raya as well as the goalkeeper. But I can understand not wanting to potentially risk an injury to Gabriel or Saliba. But if I had to say one of them you give a rest, I would say Gabriel, because we don't, at the moment with Tomiyasu being out, there's not really any real right side centre-back cover. I also don't want to take Timber out of the frame of mind of playing fullback. Like, I know he's someone that can play many positions, but it's clear that we want him to play fullback. So give him the minutes at fullback, whether that's the left or the right, to kind of keep him in the flow and not be thinking about how to play certain positions. Other than that, I would go with it, to be completely honest. I agree with resting Havertz. Like, he put in an absolute shift against Spurs. He covered so much space, so much positions in that game, literally to the point at the end of the game, he pretty much collapsed. So I definitely agree with resting Havertz. I like Sterling on the right. I don't know about this Martinelli on the left thing, but I just don't know about Martinelli right now. I'm sorry, but yeah, other than that, it's all good. And I guess the same stands for what I said about Wanyeri. I would personally give him 45 minutes. If you decide to do it at the beginning of the game, that's fine. I would personally do it in the second half.
Interesting, man. Like,
in all honesty, we all know that he's going to go really strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just going to say that.
He all knows he's going to go strong, and that because simple reason is that he's probably going to look at the results of today and think, you know what, get those points on the board, and then get our confidence going to the Man City game, which we're going to discuss in a minute.
Yeah,
Also, as well, just on the going strong, I think it's actually in our favour to go as strong as possible in the Champions League as early as possible, because if you look at our November fixtures, it's actually quite a test. So if we can get as much points in the Champions League now to potentially rotate more in November, then I would personally be in favour of that.
Do you know it's mad because we're coming off the back of this. Everyone says, "Oh, just get through this." Villa away, Spurs away, and then obviously Atalanta away, City away. Bro, you're right. At the end of October, we've got Liverpool at home. Then the start of November, we've got Newcastle away, Inter Milan away, Chelsea away, and Manchester City. By the way, not that I'm saying it's favoured them, but it kind of has. They're they're at home all the time that we're away, so it's like really annoying. But you're right.
It's even worse than that. You think about it, rotation is going to be inevitable. It's going to be inevitable because of the fact that you think about from now up until the beginning of February.
Yeah.
The only respite you get is the 2 international breaks, but apart from that, probably playing a game every 2 or 3 days. So if you're playing a game every 2 or 3 days, it's inevitable that you're going to have to rotate anyway, and that's going to be because the fact is you don't want to have to do it because they're all big games, aren't they? Because the Champions League's a big game, the league's massive. Because let's be honest, if you're going to be like how to say it, be an egghead about it all, we really can't afford to even drop a point because we have to assume that Man City are going to win all their games because of who they are and the fact that this Man City side resembles to me the best Man City sides under Pep, which were in 2018 and 2019. And I say it respectfully, our best chance to win the league was last season and the season before because those sides are not a patch on those great sides of 18 and 19. Not that I'm saying we can't do it this season, but this Man City side seems to be resembling that. And I mean business, a real beef business. So it's one of those things where if we win the league this season, we'll have to do it the hard way because of this extended Champions League and the possibility of more games if we take the cup seriously. But this program up until February is inhumane. It's inhumane. It's pure greed. And the thing about the games that we have, they're not easy games. They're big games in Europe. And then you look at it, our away games up until Christmas, from November the 9th, we're all London derbies. So you make up your minds if you make your own minds up about how you feel about a transfer window because every player is going to be needed just on the basis of common sense.
What are you saying, Alex, about this Man City game, real talk? Because I feel like we're going to approach it just like we did at Villa Park and White Hart Lane. I can't lie.
Havertz has got to play. I was looking at your lineup then for Atlanta the whole time. I was thinking, oh, we need Havertz, and I never thought I'd say that, by the way. But the way we played out, we are really lacking playing through the lines at the moment, like playing through a press. Like the amount of long balls, I think it was like about 10 headed duels or something. Havertz won from long balls from Raya. It was almost like watching Brentford at times. Do you remember when Raya used to hit to Tony? Yeah. And I thought, like, it worked. It obviously worked. It was one of the only ways we could break out. And I think against City, we're going to be pinned in a lot. I do worry if Odegaard's not there, if he's not fit, we're going to really struggle to kind of break their press and come through. Like Partey and Jorginho against Spurs made 2 passes to each other in the whole game. 2.
Well, you're right about that. We kind of noticed that ourselves. I think touching on your point as well, and I say it respectfully because yeah, Dave, we're all football fans, and even Spurs can be said as football fans. And it's controversial, but Spurs are average.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about it, it's not disrespectful. You think about the players. James Maddison resembles. He's a type of. I liken James Maddison to a pop star who, looks the part, has the hair, has the looks. Girls love him, but he can't sing. That's how I like
Dan.
James Maddison. You know what I mean?
All the gear, but no idea.
He talks a good game, but you look at his performances from that Chelsea game last season. He's flat to deceive. He's got his chance at a big club.
Hey,
Nothing.
Leo be having you for that, man. Leo be having you for that. Kenny.
But that's the thing. You got
I like Maddison. I do like Maddison.
But the fact is, as far as I'm concerned, he's a boy band. He's a member of the boy band, but can't sing a note. The way he plays.
You're right though. He's fallen off a cliff. You're right though.
What's the name? Odegaard, come on, from Burnley, really? Brennan Johnson couldn't cross his T's, let alone put a cross in, and that's
bringing on Werner.
You know what I mean? And a lot of their players, Romero, World Cup winner, can't defend at set pieces. So I say it respectfully, that was an easier game, easier for us to defend. You know what I mean? Kulusevski does his best, but probably one-dimensional. Against Man City now, we're dealing with a high caliber of player. Not only are they a high caliber of player, they're on form, they're on song. So, despite as much as our favorable defence is getting a lot of credit, we don't want to be defending all game because they will create chances and they will get in behind us, and that's where you're going to rely on Raya. So we need to have that outlet where some of our attacking players have to be able to push the Man City players back and then make those inroads so we can, because at the end of the day, we're not going to beat Man City by just defending our goal line and thinking, right, it was okay against Spurs, but I just described as the Spurs players, and there's a great difference. Haaland's on form. They've got Savinho, who basically is like playing a little bit like Mahrez, and then you've got Godwin, you've got De Bruyne who's fit. They've got so many players who can hurt us, and even Rodri's not even playing. I mean, Phil Foden is ill, and I say that in inverted commas. I don't know.
Well, it looks like he's back for the game.
I don't know. I see Phil Foden and his son posing in matching suits. So I don't know. He's probably well enough to do that rather than play football. But even so, Man City are going to pose bigger problems. So we need to get the team right, but have an outlet where we can get them thinking about defensively, because sitting that goal line is going to be suicide on Sunday.
Is Calafiori going to be fit for that game? Do we have any idea? Because I'm looking at it like, as much as Timber, I think Timber, he was almost like taking up Xhaka positions. Do you know what I mean? He was almost in that. He was letting. It was really weird because Martinelli was coming inside, Trossard was dropping, and then he was making this kind of underlap. And I think Timber's like a big game player in the. I mean, Community Shield isn't the biggest game in the world, but against City is a big game, and he was fantastic. He was man of the match, wasn't he, when we won that? And then Spurs, North London derby, as much as they're not a great team, is still the North London derby. A lot of pressure. Yeah. He turned up. I worry about Ben White in this fixture. Yeah. Like 1-on-1, he's not great. Passing under pressure, he's a bit like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes he's half asleep when he does it. He's so laid back in his demeanor. Maybe it's that kind of Ozil effect, when you think, is he actually taking it seriously? Is he not? I wonder if Calafiori's fit. Do we put Calafiori at the left and let Timber go on the right just for that game against City? I wouldn't play it every single time.
It's a good consideration, Alex, because, remember we've been doing podcasts the last few weeks, and one of the things I always said is that Timber's actual position is further right in that defence, right back or right centre back, and then eventually, if Ben White loses form or Ben White thinks that that he wants out, you don't really need a replacement for Benjamin White. You could put Timber there, and you probably see a better. When we rave about his performance at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the left, can you imagine him on the right-hand side in his proper position? What he'd be like?
Yeah,
So
it's a hard one though, because like Arteta likes his certain like systems. I think it was James, wasn't it? James who said to him, "Oh, why are you playing Timber and right centre back in pre-season?" And he said, I want that pod with Odegaard, with Saka and White, but Odegaard's not there, so he hasn't got that to think about now. I don't know. I just think he just seemed up for the fight. He just seems he's always there. And I'm not slating Ben White. I love Ben White. Like when he first came in, I thought, what are we doing spending this much money on a player? And he kind of, maybe it was his age and maybe it was like moving to a big club, but he never seemed to like kind of step up to the mark that first season. He always seemed like he was like holding back almost. But since he's moved to right back, he's easily one of the best right backs in the league. He is. I don't want him dropped every game, but just for that City game, he might be one. And in terms of like outlets, maybe we can get Winery in there. Wouldn't it be nice to have someone Hell End 17 turn up against them? Just love that.
It'd be perfect. It would.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
It would actually be perfect.
I mean, what worries me is that obviously Rodri and Foden haven't even really got going for Man City yet. Ake, Stones and Walker have only just come back and hardly played minutes. It's crazy. This is going to be mad. Now, we're going to have to stop Haaland. We did it last year, home and away. Saliba and Gabriel were immense, right? We're going to have to do that again. But it would be foolish to solely focus just on Haaland because they have got players, KDB, Bernardo, we've talked about Savinho, Foden coming back. Rodri's on that ball and he's dominant. I believe personally we're going to set up in exactly the same way. And I think we're going to say, look, we are okay for you to have the ball because you're Man City. You're always going to have the ball. Even if we went for you, you're going to have the ball. And I think we're going to set up defensively like that again. And I think we're going to try to soak it up. The only thing I would say, and I don't know, I'll put this to anybody on the panel. Would you not like us to go there and actually have a go? Like we did at the Emirates a few seasons ago. I know we lost the game 2-1 and Rodri scored in the last minute, but this was an old Arsenal that, to be fair, wasn't playing that very well until that point. I would love to see us go there, take the game to them, walk away with 3 points and go, do you know what? That's exactly what we need. We've learned. That's what we need to do. Or do we try that and then we fail and we lose the game? That's the big risk.
I'll mix it up, Dan. Dan, you mix it up. It's just like it's what you said is akin to like whenever boxers fight Usyk. They say Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, oh, use your size and go throw your punches. And then you use your size, you get knackered after 5 rounds. From round 7 to the 12, Usyk just builds up the points and he takes you out and he wins because you've run your race. And I think what we can do, we can mix it up. We've got players who can do. We've got good players who can hurt teams. We've got players who can defend. I suppose when the opportunity arises, then we do it. The counter-attack, win the ball back in good areas and get bodies forward in a distant play, but and they want to get back. But obviously, because I think if you try to go one way against Man City, you could come unstuck. If you try to go gun-ho, they win the ball back and you leave space into behind, it's suicide. If you try to defend, you could get away with it, but you don't want to be doing that for 90 minutes. Spend all your time defending against them because of the quality they have. So maybe mix up a bit.
Yeah, listen, I'm cool with that. Sorry, Hooks, go on, bro.
Now, I was gonna say I would love to see Arsenal go gung ho against Manchester City. I would love nothing more than for us to beat them at their own game. But I've just come to accept that it's actual suicide to be expansive and open against Manchester City. Like I know last season when we went to the Etihad, everybody was slating Arteta and Arsenal for the way that we set up and how we approached the game at the Etihad. And then literally, I can't remember who the team was, but literally the next game Manchester City had at the Etihad, a team played open against them and got absolutely slaughtered. And what Arteta did at the Etihad was actually studied by Ancelotti, and it helped them beat Manchester City in the Champions League. So he's got the right idea in how to approach the game. I just think, and in the Spurs game, it concerned me as when we do get the ball back and it is our turn to play, we're giving away the ball too easily. We're actually just giving away the ball way too easily. So it immediately puts us back on the defensive. And if we're going to be defending for large parts of the Manchester City game, we're going to get a lot of mental fatigue on top of the physical fatigue. It's just going to happen. So we just need to be better in the moments that we do get the ball back and just make the right decisions. And all it takes is that one chance. That's all it takes, is that one chance. But then comes the next conundrum is, I know that if we get that one chance and we score it, Arteta's going to be like, okay, everybody sit back. And that's just going to bring on more pressure onto us, right? So it's difficult, right? Like, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I just think it's just one of those games where everybody has to have a 10 out of 10. It's the only real way you can beat Manchester City, right? Is everybody has a 10 out of 10. There can't be anyone that drags the team down.
Well, last season we had the Trossard moment where if he had pace, we actually would have been on goal. Funnily enough, Martinelli was actually flung on the right-hand side for that game, and then Trossard it falls to. If that was Martinelli, he'd be running straight on goal. And I know Martinelli probably missed the form he's in, but he would have actually been on one-on-one running through. So there is chances in the game for sure, 100%. But go on, Alex. I'll let you have a say on this, brother. What are you sending me?
Nah, Hooks has hit the nail on the head there. I do think it is almost suicide. However, like if we had Odegaard, I might be a bit more tempted to like kind of go for it and go, actually, let's stake our claim, because Kenny said earlier, they're going to win pretty much all their games. So the only way we can really take over them is by taking points off them.
Yeah.
That's my problem. But let's be honest. Does anyone really think Arteta's going to do that?
Yeah.
Like,
no.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
He's going to go for the senior players. He's going to sit back and he's going to go, our best way is to stay as kind of compact as we possibly can. So, I mean, it's all good and well me saying, yeah, let's go for it. I wouldn't mind maybe at the beginning of like at the kickoff for us just to go for it, because Pep is going to be thinking the same as all of us, same as everyone watching this show, that Arteta is going to sit back. And wouldn't it be nice to just suddenly see Martinelli popping up top with Havertz, playing off the shoulder, because we hit the ball long every time, don't we, from kickoff? Always go long, always try to win the second balls. Wouldn't it be nice to see almost that, like, you know, like the old, you have the big man, the little man running off him. Just see Martinelli come inside and just throw something a little bit different right at the beginning of the game, then go compact and sit back after the first 5 minutes, because they're going to be thinking, hang on a minute, what's going on, and just try to disrupt them. But I think on the whole, we're going to have to play pretty much, like I said, the same team as Spurs. Maybe you play Timber out on the right, Calafiori on the left. Maybe you play Winery in the middle. I mean, Rice is going to come in. Who would you all play with Rice? Because I'm of the mindset that Jorginho plays with Rice against Atlanta.
Yeah,
and then we have
Partey and Rice
for City.
Oh, I think it's going to be those two where Partey and Rice are going to play, and they're going to be a double screen, you know, for our defence, and you know, they're going to sort of like do their best to try and help out the full backs as well. So, you know, so we can do a bit of double, you know what I mean? But in terms of like the offensive player, I think what it is, you play Havertz in there, and you know, say to him, right, you support the front man. So I'm assuming that if you're playing Havertz in there, the person you've got to play is Jesus, because you play Trossard there. No harm in doing that. You know, he's got a good eye for goal. He's an intelligent player. Makes things happen. But what do you say to Jesus? You know, how far do you want to push him down a pecking order? But as I said before, time waits for no one. But you know, could be the game that you do play Jesus up top. But the thing about it is, as much as, you know, like we all have different expectations or different opinions of Kai Havertz, the fact is he's actually where he's playing where he's been playing since January. He's actually doing a fair job. You know, do we want to disrupt that? Or is it just But if we don't play him off that midfield, maybe there might be a problem. But if you play Chavez up top, do you play Jason there, or do you play who's a good good on the ball, good carry the ball, or do you want someone who's a bit more of a kind of Peter Beardsley type, which could be Trossard? That's of where you could play Trossard in that free and just say boom boom. But then what you do worry about Trossard, the defensive discipline. It's an hard one, isn't it?
It is
In
hard.
terms of-
And you know what? Do you know also it's hard penalty shootouts. Preston have beaten Fulham 16-15 on penalties.
Jeez.
Yeah. You missed
That
it was
is crazy.
it was the right back who Fulham's right back who missed the penalty. Yeah.
Who? Oh, Fulham right back. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was
16-15.
Belgium-
I mean,
Belgium
that is the
international.
longest ever.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the longest ever, man. Anyway, listen, before we come to a close, I was sent a text message about half hour ago by a good friend, you all know him very well, Lee Judges, which was a picture of our fantastic team. I
Where's the
didn't
trophies?
really understand
The
where.
trophies.
Yeah,
Where's the
not here
trophies?
yet. Well, I didn't really understand the picture, but I thought, okay, that's a random thing to send me, but fair play. Little did I know, the reason he sent me it is because we've zoomed in on our captain, who has a football covering his left boot, which is very interesting indeed. So, yeah, make of that what you will, people. They put a football over his boot, which is clearly swollen and blown up. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this Odegaard situation. I think Mikel Arteta knows that he's injured for a while. Or if there's no ligament damage, no tendon damage, no ankle sprain, no fracture, maybe it's just bruising and it comes down. But let's be real. Tierney was in there as well. I didn't even see that. So yeah, so look, it's one of those with Martin Odegaard. It looks as if Trossard is the guy that he's going to favour. I believe he'll continue to play that way against Manchester City, but we'll have to see. Listen, man, we're going to wrap it up there. Big up to all of you for being here. Please make sure you do me a favour. There's been well over 300 of you watching for the majority. Please make sure you do me a favour. Hit the like button and subscribe. We are literally only 23 subscribers away from 24.4k. We're getting up to 25 very, very quickly. So please make sure that you do get involved and hit the like and subscribe. Hooks, what you got coming up? How can people get hold of you, man?
Oh man, I dropped a video today, pre-recorded. I'm trying to drop videos daily. So yeah, if you just check out the YouTube, there's always going to be a video on there. I've also got a TikTok by the same name. I try to stay consistent on that as well. Trying to hit 1K at 1K, I'll start doing live streams, innit? I don't know if I've got the mental capacity to talk to myself for hours, so I at least want to know there's a community behind me before I start streaming. So yeah, good things are coming, and hopefully I can get on to more shows like this. So yeah, just trying to be active in the football community, man.
100, man. Come on, people. Look, there's well over 300 in here. So let's make sure we get Hooks up to 1K. All you got to do is go halftime Hooks, press the subscribe button, and you're part of the family. So big up to you, man. And you're always welcome on this show. Alex, likewise, my bro. What you got coming up?
Trying to get to 500 likes, Hooks. I'm deep down. I think I'm trying to get to 400. Let's get to 400 first. Yeah.
I mean, I pushed the boat out a bit too far. Don't worry, I'm swinging that same battle, man. I'm only on like 350 something subs. So
mate, we're there together. I know the grafting. No, I mean, I've had a few weeks off. I haven't been doing much, but I'm back now. Hard times fall on all of us, so you know how it is. But yeah, I've got a pre-match show for the City game, probably coming out Saturday, and then I think I've got a pre-match show on Thursday coming out for the Atalanta game as well. So yeah, catch me on Fulda on Football or Fulda on Footy on X as well. But yeah, I'll be back on here as well, Dan, chatting my nonsense.
Of course you will, man. Make sure you head over to both these guys, man. They're putting out great content. So make sure you go show them the love as well. Kenny Ken, always a pleasure, my bro. Make sure you're following Kenny Ken on Instagram. I'm sure most of you are already.
Hey, that's what I'm going to do this week.
What?
Well, I'm going to be on Jesse's channel. Jesse's on the panel. He's watching there. So me and him are do a show at 6 o'clock. And I'm probably going to, get my campaign going. I always do it this time of year to you know, make sure we have a Christmas break from football, you know, a midwinter break like we do in Europe, because I think it's professional suicide to have games over Boxing Day, New Year's Day. The Christmas programme, sorry guys in the comments, I know you're going to be very happy with me, it's the biggest load of tosh ever. No wonder players look knackered when they go to international tournaments. No wonder players have injuries. You know what I mean? That's it. And apart from that, hopefully there'll be some cricket on, because cricket in September. Who knew? Who thought that was going to be a good idea, eh? But none of you guys like cricket. I'm basically talking to the wall now, aren't I?
Mate, don't talk to me about cricket. That's a cure for insomnia for me, man. Jeez. Cricket, my goodness. Watching that. My God.
Neglectful. You may not like cricket, but you like boxing. And I'll be at Wembley to watch Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. Feel free to tell me who you think is going to win and what round. Hit me with it, guys.
I'll see you there, Kenny. I'll see you there.
You haven't told me who you think is going to win.
Wow.
AJ's going to win that one. Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm going Daniel Dubois round 8.
6. Ooh,
I'll go Dubois.
Ooh.
I'll go Dubois in 7.
Ooh, I'm going Joshua round 10.
Okay.
Fair play, man. Fair play. I'd like AJ, but I just don't have any faith in him anymore, and haven't done for a while. So
he's back to his best, I think. I
You
think if he fought Tyson Fury, I think he smoked Tyson Fury, and I'm a Tyson Fury fan, just as much as I'm an AJ fan and Dillian White fan. But I think Tyson Fury's there for the taking. I don't see him winning these rematches.
yeah, I agree with that. I don't think Tyson's going to be Usyk. I think Tyson's kind of done now, if I'm honest. After he faced it, yeah. I'm with. I think Usyk's the best right now. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, I think that Ngannou fight just said it all.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that Ngannou fight. I was like, what
Whoa.
is happening here? Like, this is mad. Like, he's done.
And then
So,
Usyk
yeah.
just showed, didn't he? But there we go.
It did. But listen, that's for another podcast. You want to go follow Ola and Fight Week, then make sure you go do that over there as well. Listen, people, absolute legends. Big up to all of you. Make sure you show the love, hit the like and subscribe. Make sure you go and follow these guys, and we will see you next time. Peace.